A family can look like a house, but still function like a pressure chamber. On Sister Wives, viewers were sold a vision of love that multiplied, one man at the center, many voices harmonizing around him. But what if that harmony was never real? What if it was enforced? Because while cameras focused on unity, one child was absorbing the fractures, quietly labeled difficult, aggressive, the problem. Not because he broke the rules, but because he exposed the system. Paedon Brown wasn't just a rebellious kid. He was the pressure leak in
As
a
I was
family
leaving, I
brand
just kind of
built
felt
on
free.
Control. And Kody Brown benefited from everyone believing the issue was Paedon, not the structure that sidelined him. That's the surface drama, the hidden pattern. In hierarchical families, the first child to challenge authority becomes the warning sign, not for misbehavior, but for instability. Silence is rewarded, obedience is protected, and dissent gets reframed as the problem child. Then came the moment the system failed. When Suki Krishnan said Paedon's name out loud, on camera. The mask slipped. No script. No spin. Just a pause heavy enough to expose years of emotional damage, favoritism, and control that could no longer be edited away. And here's the terrifying implication. When a family becomes a business, children don't just grow up in it. They're managed by it. Their pain becomes a liability. And speaking the truth threatens money, legacy, and power. This channel doesn't do gossip. We trace systems. We follow patterns. And we document what reality TV hopes you'll forget. At first glance, the Browns were presented as an experiment in transparency. Plural marriage. 1 husband. 4 wives. 18 children. Led by Kody Brown, the series promised an inside look at a lifestyle most Americans had only seen through headlines and stereotypes. In the early seasons, the message was clear. This family works. They laughed together. They argued, but reconciled. And they insisted, repeatedly, that love multiplied rather than divided. But reality television has a way of revealing what scripted explanations cannot. What viewers didn't see, at least not at first, was how children raised in public can become collateral damage in a story meant to protect adults. Paedon Brown is the only son of Christine Brown and Kody Brown. From the beginning, he stood out. He was taller, more outspoken, often emotionally reactive. As a child, Paedon was frequently framed as the difficult kid, roughhousing too hard, clashing with siblings, testing boundaries. But what went largely unexplored on camera was why. Christine has since acknowledged that Paedon struggled deeply with the family structure. In later interviews, she would say, quote, Paedon didn't feel like he had a place. He didn't feel safe emotionally. This wasn't just a parenting issue. It was a structural one. Season 4. The move to Las Vegas. While adults framed it as a fresh start, several children, Paedon included, were visibly distressed. The instability, the sudden separation into 4 homes. The loss of routine. Psychologists specializing in family systems note that children in polygamous or highly fragmented households often experience identity displacement, especially adolescent boys. This isn't speculation, it's documented in sociological studies from Utah State University and the American Journal of Family Therapy. But none of that explains why Paedon would later become one of the most polarizing voices after leaving the show. For years, Paedon was largely absent from Sister Wives. Unlike some of his siblings, he wasn't highlighted for achievements or milestones. Instead, he faded into the background. Until he didn't. In 2022 and 2023, Paedon began giving independent interviews and appearing on podcasts and YouTube live streams. What he said shocked longtime fans. He accused his father of emotional neglect. He defended his mother's decision to leave. And he openly criticized the family's internal power dynamics. Most notably, Paedon made statements about discipline, favoritism, and fear inside the household. These weren't casual comments. They were allegations. To be clear, no criminal charges have been filed. No lawsuits are active regarding Paedon's claims. But from a media ethics standpoint, adult children speaking publicly about family dysfunction carries real reputational consequences, especially when the family brand is monetized. Reality TV contracts, like those used by TLC, do not permanently silence participants. Once children reach adulthood, they are legally free to speak. And Paedon did. And when he did, the fanbase fractured. On Reddit, the reaction was immediate. Threads titled, "Paedon finally says what we've all seen," gained thousands of upvotes. Others were less sympathetic. Facebook comments questioned his credibility. YouTube viewers accused him of clout chasing. One highly liked Reddit comment read, quote, "Paedon is saying the quiet part out loud. Kody just doesn't like losing control." Another countered, "He was always aggressive. This feels like rewriting history." The community wasn't just debating Paedon. They were re-evaluating everything they thought they knew about Kody Brown. And then came the tell-all. Suki Krishnan enters the room. Tell-all episodes are designed to clarify. But sometimes, they expose. Suki Krishnan had already navigated tense interviews with the Browns before. She'd pressed gently, redirected diplomatically, let silences do the work. But this time, she asked something different. She asked about Paedon. Not abstractly, not vaguely, directly. As the name left her mouth, Kody's demeanor changed. His shoulders stiffened, his eyes narrowed, and for the first time in that interview, he didn't have a rehearsed answer. Silence is rarely accidental in interviews like this. When Suki Krishnan mentioned Paedon's name, the moment stretched longer than expected. Not because no one knew what to say, but because everyone understood what the question represented. In high-profile interviews, pauses are often edited out. This one wasn't. Kody didn't interrupt. He didn't deflect immediately. Instead, he paused, long enough for discomfort to register on camera. Media psychologists often describe this as a cognitive freeze moment. It occurs when a subject is confronted with a topic they believed had already been contained. In that pause, the usual control mechanisms failed. And viewers noticed. When a person avoids a question, it's strategic. When they freeze, it's instinct. In family systems research, conflict between fathers and sons tends to escalate differently than other parent-child relationships. Especially in hierarchical households. Sociologists note that sons often become the first challengers of authority, particularly when they perceive favoritism, emotional absence, or unequal discipline. In plural families, where attention is divided not just among children, but among spouses, this dynamic intensifies. Paedon wasn't just competing with siblings. He was competing with structure itself. And unlike daughters, who are often socialized toward emotional accommodation, sons are more likely to express conflict outwardly. This doesn't excuse behavior, but it contextualizes it. The question isn't why Paedon pushed back. It's why the system couldn't absorb it. Reality television operates under a quiet but firm legal framework. Networks like TLC are not investigative bodies. They are entertainment platforms operating under defamation and liability constraints. When adult children speak critically about parents who remain contracted talent, networks face a choice: confront directly, or maintain plausible neutrality. By allowing Suki Krishnan to ask the question without pressing for specifics, TLC maintained journalistic distance while avoiding legal escalation. This is why wording matters. Suki didn't accuse. She asked. That distinction protects the network, while still signaling to viewers that the issue is real. Sometimes what isn't said on television is louder than what is. As Kody responded, several nonverbal cues stood out. He leaned back rather than forward, often a sign of emotional withdrawal. His hands tightened, then released. Eye contact broke, briefly, then returned with visible effort. These are not signs of guilt. They are signs of defensiveness. Behavioral analysts emphasize that defensiveness doesn't confirm wrongdoing, but it does confirm emotional investment. This wasn't a detached response. It was personal. Detached answers sound rehearsed. This one sounded guarded. Online reaction didn't remain static. In the first 48 hours, discourse was polarized. Supporters and critics spoke past each other. But over time, a shift occurred. Longtime viewers began revisiting older episodes, rewatching scenes with new context, noticing moments they previously dismissed. This is known as retrospective reframing, when new information alters how past events are interpreted. Paedon didn't just change opinions about himself. He changed how fans interpreted Kody's past behavior. The past didn't change. The lens did. This moment did more than create controversy. It altered the emotional hierarchy of the story. For years, Kody was the narrator of family truth. After Paedon, and after Suki's question, that authority fractured. Future seasons can no longer rely on a single perspective. And for audiences, that shift is permanent. Once credibility is questioned, it rarely resets. Reality television survives on trust. And trust, once fractured, never edits cleanly. If you're ready to examine the evidence with us, like this video to support the investigation. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Comment if you notice the signs before the pause. And watch the linked playlist where we break down the receipts, moment by moment. Because what you're about to see isn't a family argument. It's a controlled narrative. And the moment it cracked wide open,